Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading Friends. Definition may vary by slight snowflakes. This is Chapter 5. With the text a good starting point, it only takes Bruce a few days to put together a folder on the Wayne and Luthor investigation. When he hands over his gathered information to Superman was his usual thankful self. However, Bruce could see that Superman was almost disappointed that Bruce was unable to pull up any damning evidence on Luthor using the friendship as a means of evil. Even after the Man of Steel leaves, Bruce knows that Kent will probably do his own investigation. If so, Lex and he will have to be careful the next few times they interact. That done, there is a much bigger issue that Bruce needs to address. A mandatory Bat family meeting about the knowledge that Lex Luthor knows everyone's identities. Surprisingly, that went better, or maybe worse, than expected. Damien, the first and loudest to protest, "How long has he known?" Bruce is definitely disappointed that he didn't have the exact answer. "I don't know, but long enough." Tim snorts. "That's what he told you, isn't it?" Bruce swallows a sigh. Yes. There was then a chorus of voices on how they needed to handle it, from extreme measures like relocating the Batcave, and over and moving and changing the names, to even more extreme measures like killing Luthor. "We will be talking about that suggestion later, Damien." However, Jason's response causes everyone to stop. Who cares? Seriously, he knows. So what? He's known Superman's identity forever. He's done shit with that information, and Superman hasn't done anything to counter that. Besides sigh disappointedly at Luthor, I say we do nothing, 'cause we don't need to do anything until we have to. Jason is right. The gasps and what that follows are silenced with Bruce's hand raised. "We don't know how long he's known, but he has yet to use it against us, so we will do nothing. We have contingency plans in place for events like this, and until we have to use them, we won't second-guess the what-ifs. Understood?" So, surprisingly, after the meeting, after the handoff, no other issues crop up. The world seems to keep on turning. The people have accepted their friendship. The stock market has settled in time for the holidays. Bruce and Lex are now friends, sending each other holiday greetings, bickering over frivolous conversations. Especially Bruce and Lex seem to fall into a cadence that carries into the new year. So on the evening of January 14th, halfway through dinner before patrol, Bruce is surprised when he receives a different type of text. "Lexi, I'm coming over." His confusion must have been evident on his face, Damien instantly jumping to attention. "What is it, Father?" Bruce frowns before putting the phone down. Lex Luthor is coming over. Everyone sits up straight, alert. Bruce tries not to smirk at all their microactions. Quite a few hands jerk to hidden weapons that are not allowed at the table. A few faces turn guilty, realizing that they've been caught, but others stand firm that this was the exact reason the weapons should be allowed at the table. To break the tension, Alfred starts refilling the water cups. "Will I need to set a table for Mr. Luthor?" Bruce shoots a quick text. Wayne: "Oh, exciting! Surprise visit! Should Alfie set you a place at the table?" No response comes. Eventually, the family returns to their food, the tension draining away. However, as they near the end of the meal, Bruce's phone pings. "Lexi." "No." Before he can even reply, there is a text at the door. He motions to Alfred that he will join him at the door, and then turns to the kids. "Stay put. No weapons. He will be a guest until we can prove he is a threat." Bruce follows Alfred to the door and watches as Alfred opens the door to reveal Luthor, the salesman. Luthor looks laid back, his body language open and a big smile on his face. "Bruce!" Brucie instantly smiles in turn and instantly pulls Luthor into a hug. However, as he wraps his arms around Luthor, he feels that Luthor's muscles are tense, his whole body tight as a wire. Stepping away, he motions for Luthor to come inside. "Lexi, come in! What are you doing in Gotham?" As Luthor walks in, he keeps his easy smile in place. "I was in town for the Green Bonnet's 10-year anniversary. Figured, why not visit my dear friend after such a delightful meal?" Behind Luthor, Alfred starts to close the front door. Like a switch being turned off the moment the door latches shut, Luthor's whole demeanor falls apart. His smile vanishes, his complexion turns ashen, his body goes rigid. As a man that has so much control over every aspect of his life, Bruce has never seen Luthor lose control like this. However, there are some times when even personas and masks are not strong enough to stop the physical reactions. Only with the experience of having raised 7 kids does Bruce instinctively grab the empty umbrella bucket and place it in front of Lex before he throws up the contents of his stomach. Bruce braces his arm around Lex's back to keep him over the bucket. Once the first heave is done, Alfred gently moves to motion Bruce. "Why don't you escort Master Luthor to the restroom?" Nodding, Bruce gently guides him to the nearest room. "Lex, were you poisoned? Are you having trouble breathing? Is your vision blurred?" Lex's head shake is jerky as he tightens his grip on the bucket. Once in the bathroom, Lex easily relinquishes the bucket to kneel over the toilet in time to throw up a second time. A rustle causes Bruce to turn to the door to see Dick standing awkwardly in the way. He hands over the bucket. "Run tests on this. Check for poisons and toxins." Lex looks up and weakly waves in a stop motion, but Dick is gone in a flash, and Lex ends up turning his attention to his previous activities. Once the second wave seems to slow down, Lex rests an elbow on the toilet edge and leans his head into the crook of his arm. As he looks up at Bruce, he can only feel sorry for him. The always put-together businessman just looks like a sick, exhausted man spread too thin. Seeing the pity on his face, Lex glares, and though it lacks his usual vigor, "I'm not dying, it's not poison or some toxin, it's just food allergies." Releasing a breath he didn't know he was holding, Bruce looks around for something to do to distract from the adrenaline rushing through his veins. In the end, he wets the washcloth and bends down to wipe Lex's face off. "What are you allergic to?" Lex snorts as he tries to get into a more comfortable position. "Everything?" Bruce snorts. "Dramatic much? Could you be more specific?" Lex waves his hand half-heartedly. "I have a list, but this feels like corn syrup." "It's probably corn syrup. They put it in everything." Bruce nods and goes to rinse off the washcloth, only to return to wipe the sweat that is building on Lex's head. "So, why come here? Not your hotel room, or, God forbid, a hospital?" Lex leans back into his arms and closes his eyes in what looks like to be an attempt to settle his stomach. He answers weakly. "Would be quite devastating to a restaurant's reputation if they gave food poisoning to the richest man in the world during their 10th anniversary." Bruce notes that the richest man bit, but then slowly lowers himself into a sitting position, leaning against the cupboards. "You said the Green Bonnet? Isn't that the farm-to-table restaurant?" Lex hums in reply. "Yes. Due to my excessive list of allergies, they are a favorite restaurant of mine in Gotham. As such, I left Mercy to look into the matter. Hopefully she will not cause too much of a scene until the real issue is found." Alfred clears his throat as he enters the bathroom with a tray. Bruce takes the tray and puts it on the ground near Lex. A cup of water, multiple allergy medicines, an EpiPen, antacids, and a handkerchief. Bruce grabs the water and offers it to Lex, but he shakes his head minutely. "Save it. Unfortunately, I'm not done yet." Alfred frowns at the two men before turning his attention solely on Lex. "Sir, if you are willing to give us the list of allergies, perhaps I could make you something to settle your stomach." Lex grimaces at this statement, but starts to pull out his phone. However, after unlocking his phone with a shaky hand, he hands it over to Bruce, before leaning his head against his arm, closing his eyes. "Send files, personnel, health, allergies." Bruce is holding his phone as if he was given the Holy Grail and a live bomb. "You keep your personal information on your phone?" A grunt is the only reply he gets. "Aren't you worried about someone hacking it?" At this, one eye creaks open and Lex gives a small grin. "Just go ahead and try." Bruce starts to navigate the files. "And you are giving this vital info to us. To me." Lex's shrug is muffled by his position. "You claim we are friends. In the name of the draftee." Bruce snorts. "In the name of the draftee." His humor is replaced with disbelief. "Good God, you really are allergic to everything. Corn, milk, red meat, soy, gluten. How are you not dead yet?" Lex looks over with a look set in stone and carved with defiance. Simple, unadulterated stubbornness. However, his defiant look is ruined as he turns back to the toilet seat to expel the last of his dinner. Bruce quickly adds Alfred to Lex's phone and sends the allergy list to him and a copy to himself. Once done, he puts the phone back into Lex's pocket and starts to rub his back. Once finished, Lex accepts the cup of water, though it takes none of the pills. Think you can make it to the guest bedroom, or will the couch be preferred? Lex slowly gets up, leaning heavily on Bruce. I doubt I can make it up the stairs. Bruce grabs the handkerchief. Couch it is. Here, get the smell out of your nose. Lex stares at the offered cloth before eventually his brain catches up with the request. After Lex blows his nose, Bruce escorts him to the family room couch. Just lay down and rest, Lex. Surprisingly, it takes a little effort for him to do just that. Alfred enters the room with more supplies and a new bucket to sit next to the couch. After a few minutes of shuffling around into position, Lex seems to settle with his arm draped over his face. Bruce sits down in his chair and pulls out a laptop to do some work, and then it is quiet. For a little bit. Father, why is Lex Luthor sleeping on our couch? Bruce looks up from his laptop to see Damien in the doorway. He tries to motion for Damien to be quiet and not disturb Lex, but his effort is futile as a croak comes from the man. Because I am dying. At the weird mixture of emotions that spread across Damien's face of excitement and concern, Bruce snorts at Luthor. You are not dying. Bruce turns back to Damien. He is not dying. He is ill. You will leave him be. Don't you have a patrol? Damien crosses his arms. Don't you, Father? Bruce goes back to his laptop. No, tonight's shifts have been switched. I'll be looking over some numbers tonight, and maybe even your report card. Damien sticks his nose into the air. My report card is perfect. Bruce raises an eyebrow. Even your history grade. Bruce anticipates the attack before he even hears it. Damien's voice is laced with indifference. My history grades are perfect. Perfectly boring. With that, Damien struts out of the room, his head held high. Lex murmurs into his arm, but he seems to trail off. Bruce catches the implication. Feisty? Luthor's laugh is muffled by his arm. I was going to say he's definitely your son. Bruce snorts. Oh, shut up. Lex's phone starts stirring in the silence that follows. Not dislodging the arm over his face, Lex slowly pulls out his phone and answers the call. Though he gives no verbal response, just holds it to his ear. After a few minutes of someone apparently talking, Lex finally talks. Sue them. All of them. Another pause then. No, I will not be moving for the foreseeable future. I'm dying. Sell everything. Though I want you to have the Malibu mansion. You deserve to have that. With that, Lex hangs up the phone and grins softly into his arm. Bruce smiles at his antics. Dramatic much? In the same word and tone used just a few minutes ago, Lex snorts. Oh, shut up, you. The mimicry causes Bruce to chuckle as he asks, Did she find out what killed you? A soft, disappointed sigh escapes Lex. Apparently, the honey supplier that the Green Bonnet has been using for the last 5 years had started illegally diluting their honey with corn syrup. As they deserve, the restaurant and I will be suing them 6 feet into the ground, and every honey farm in China. Bruce nods, knowing that for some people, that would be a bit extreme. But for a man of Lex's power and standing, it would just be considered doing his due diligence. That's quite a task ahead of you. A grunt was the only reply. Well, get some rest, Lex. Eerie silence falls between them. You're going to be a very busy bee tomorrow. A pillow sails through the air, hitting Bruce in the head, startling a laugh from his lips. Alright, guys, and that is the end of Chapter 5 of Friends. Definition May Vary by Slade Snowflakes. I hope you guys liked it, and see you next chapter.